All right, my friends. We got more. I'm not even gonna say obscure films. Some of them are not. Some of them are. Some of them I just think are good and deserve to be mentioned. So this film, the sequel. Now, 30 Days a Night. How can I say it? I'd rather watch this again than 30 Days a Night. Okay. Another sci-fi 2010s film that actually like I was like, wow, this is pretty decent. You know, I mean Sharknado, okay, you know, stuff like that was a little crazy. Sharktopus, but then you had stuff like this. I thought this is a really good film. Okay, it reminds me almost. I was John Carpenter's Vampires. Okay, this actually reminds me more of the source material for that. The late John Steakley's novel Vampires. It reminds me more of that than the John Carpenter film, ironically. So, and I like there's a villain. The villain in this is a really good villain. In the first one, I didn't really get the sense that there was an arch enemy. You really get that with this. It's shot in L.A. and it's just like it reminds me of To Live and Die in L.A. They make sure that they don't shoot any glamorous part of L.A. They even mentioned in the extras, which I saw, you know, the idea of the color palette. The guy who's on with the color palette, right? He was talking about they intentionally made it very dreary and gray in the daytime. And a lot of the action takes place on the end on a ship and in the sewers. So, what else can I say? What I like about the film, once again, is the idea that the vampires are sort of a separate race. They can make people into vampires, but they have to really earn that trust. The one scene in here with the scummy police guy who wants to become one of them, what he has to do to finally be allowed to become a vampire, that was a rough scene. Okay? He essentially has to uh, kill and bite the neck of a woman, okay? But he doesn't have fangs to do it. So it's pretty messed up. There's another messed up scene with the teeth, okay, with someone, which, Dave, that's like his pulling teeth, like an old boy. I can't imagine. You like old boy?
That's fucked up.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But they had it coming.
Yeah, they had it covered. So, but just I like the idea too that they don't even bother with like stakes. They use sun lamps, lots of firepower. These people, if they survive, would be able to hear it all. Massive firepower where you could slow them down or even shoot their heads off. You know, and of course, you know, machetes and stuff like that. They're not going for the traditional, since you're not dealing with traditional vampires here. I just think this is very underrated. If you put this movie in, you see reviews, all the Reddit cucks, like, oh, this movie's horrible, ugh, fucking, you know, go get your purse and get some Uber Eats or something. I thought this movie was good. I recommend it, and there's a lot of ways to watch this for nothing. Okay. Oh, boo! This fucking guy, right? I don't dislike Brad Pitt. I don't think he is a bad actor. I don't think he's a good actor. He's just kind of there. He's just kind of there, you know. Like, I will never forgive him for the films where he's killing Germans left and right, which there are, I think, 3 or 4 of them. But this film, World War Z, I thought this was a good movie. Okay, when I finally saw it, I saw a bootleg of it. But when I finally saw it, I thought it was pretty good. The book it's based on, I fucking hate. This is nothing like the book. And Brad Pitt's just sort of this dude there. Now, of course, there's a global sense to the film because it takes place all over the world. But the idea that even like there's no gore either, so you're like, bro, you're missing all the marks here. Why do you like this film? Well, like for example, like this scene where the zombies are literally like they turn people almost. They're like a virus, literally. Like they're like mold or bacteria growing at a super fast rate. They overwhelm everybody and they're the most inhuman zombies. You know, obviously a lot of it is CGI, but there's a lot of things to note for it. I like the things that make sense that he does, like you know, making armor out of duct tape and phone books. I think they did that in Train to Busan as well. I think this came out before that. I could be wrong. Um, the scene in North Korea with the one dude, the one badass dude, and he gets bit, and he's just like, "Hey man, what do you want me to do?" He's like, "You know what to do." And the guy's a fucking man to the end. I think he takes a little drag of the cigarette and then, bah, you know, stuff like that. It was also interesting that in this movie something happens. I'm gonna be very cryptic because I want to enjoy my holiday. Very cryptic. There's a event in this film that happens that I would love to see in my lifetime. I'll leave it at that. Why you laughing? Why you smiling back there? All right, I'll leave it at that. So, I'll leave it at that. We are all brothers. We are the world. So anyway, but this film, Annie Nowicki recommended this film. Okay, I watched this film. Right, very, what's the word? I wasn't digging it in the first 20 minutes, which usually is the death knell for any kind of movie. But I kept watching it. The dread in it, the girl. I gotta say, the girl in this somehow, she's like, not. She's cute, but she's not cute. She's very. I don't know. There's something about her that she's not really attractive at all, even though she is checks the marks there. But the film, the slow burn dread that's built in it, the unusual and interesting threat that is presented, the way it's shot in Detroit, where like they'll just have a slow camera on a cloudy day, look at these old abandoned houses in the the once great city of Detroit, the Paris of the Midwest. I don't even know if that's true that someone said that, but apparently that was what it was called at one point. But it is actually, it was actually a good film, slow burn film, and but it is not an obscure film. People mention this film a lot. So anyway, and this is not a horror film. Not a horror film technically, but I'll just bring it up anyway. This is one of the most underrated films from 2002, which is a great year for a lot of films. Reign of Fire, post-apocalyptic, like if dragons revived and basically annihilated most of the population of Earth. I just don't hear this movie mentioned enough. When Scary Monsters had this as a cover and did a whole article on it, I thought it was a long time coming, man. Matthew McConaughey, he looks like a roadie in a new metal band. And Christian Bale's in the back. Look at that, Christian Bale. So I like the idea. I like also like there's a method, just like with John Carpenter's vampires. There's a method the humans, the surviving military guys, use to kill dragons, and it usually involves a lot of guys losing their lives, but it works. When they take out a dragon, that's a major victory. Problem is, and when they come to England, they run into the Ur mother dragon. So you know how that's gonna turn out. So also I like the scene when the Americans roll up in their armored vehicles, and then one of the British people is like, "Ugh, Americans," and they're like, "Oh, these fuckers." When they come, you know that your whole world is gonna be turned upside down. So, and another film, maybe not underrated. I have not seen the sequel to this, Silent Hill. This is a really good movie. Who's this? A French guy, Christopher Gans, right? This was a nasty movie. In terms of, I remember cringing watching it a little bit, and I thought it was mostly CGI. And when I finally looked at the extras, it was not. A lot of this was practical effects. Now, I never played any of the video games. I would like to maybe try it at some point. It's very atmospheric, very influential, but I'm just going on the film. And the idea that they linked it to a place not too far from me, Centralia, where there's a fire burning on the ground. That Centralia is nothing like this film, but I'll say the scenes where she's in a place that's already friggin' crazy looking, and then those sirens go off, right? Almost like there's the air raid sirens in Dresden or Tokyo, and then you just see everything change outside, and then there's this friggin' thing with the thing on its head. It just comes chopping with that friggin' that Final Fantasy sword, man. This was really good. I don't know why I haven't seen the sequel yet. So, anyway, this is another videos recommended. We're going to do one more for y'all.